We're joined now by Ed Werder, which this decision has people parsing the motivation. Is this somehow Mike Shanahan tweaking the owner, Daniel Snyder, in an effort to get out of town? Or is he setting the table saying the coach is the boss, whoever the coach is here, this is my decision, you're being benched, Kirk Cousins is playing? What do you make of the decision?
Well, I think the thing that Mike Shanahan said the other day was that he was considering this move and going to do it for all three remaining games to protect the quarterback. And not to justify the decision, but to explain it, perhaps. If you look at the numbers, the number of times that RG3 has been hit while throwing, while running, or sacked, it's 102 times. Only Cam Newton, with 122, has taken more hits at the quarterback position this year than RG3. So there is some justification for Shanahan's point. Now, what did motivate this decision ultimately? Is it an attempt by Shanahan to provoke a confrontation with owner Dan Snyder, who will obviously object to this? We assume RG3 wants to play football. He'll likely object to this. But Shanahan, no doubt, in his contract, has control over personnel. So if Snyder got involved, which he says he will not, intervene in this situation, then there could be justification for Shanahan to leave and get the $7 million still owed to him on his contract. He also said, if you remember, that the reason he didn't quit last year when he had planned to do so was he didn't want to leave with RG3 hurt. So now RG3 will be protected. He won't be hurt if Shanahan decides to leave one way or the other after the season's over.
And there are those who will say that if he had this type of mentality last year during the playoff game, that RG3 wouldn't have gotten hurt this badly. There are also those who say that this is something that should have happened at the start of the season.
And I do know that Dan Snyder has spoken to people recently, and he's been furious about the fact that RG3 played early in the season, that he played from week 1. And he didn't know if his anger should be directed at RG3 or Mike Shanahan or the doctor in this case.
The doctor who said that he was
Dr.
fit
James
to play.
Andrews, right.
But you're saying that if Shanahan's in charge of personnel decisions, that this would have been his decision in week 1.
Well, theoretically, yeah. I mean, the whole thing was orchestrated all offseason for RG3 to meet his stated goal of playing week 1. And I think the argument could certainly be made now that if you're truly worried about the health of the quarterback, then you should not have played him the first 3 weeks of the season when he wasn't healthy, clearly based on the results, rather than at the end of the season when he is healthy. So there certainly is some illogic involved in all of that. I think from a player's point of view, it's going to be difficult for them to accept the idea that a healthy player and their best quarterback is being protected against a potential injury when they're all asked to dress out and play hard and put themselves at risk these final 3 games.
All right, and let's go big picture here. Does this change anything regarding the notion that Mike Shanahan will not be the coach next year, or that Robert Griffin III will be the quarterback? Either of those situations going to change? Regardless of what happens the next 3 weeks. If Kirk Cousins comes in and wins 3 games in a row, does that make any difference at all?
No, I think given the investment that this team has made in RG3 contractually and all it gave up to get him in the draft, and at this point they're going to lose the 2nd overall pick in the draft in this trade with the Rams to acquire him. So, no, I think he's still viewed in Washington as a fantastically talented young quarterback. He's their future. He'll be there next year, and he'll be their starter. As to whether Mike Shanahan's going to be there, I would say there's a lot of skepticism, and rightfully so, about his future in Washington.